Continue reading Brahma Samhita 5.16. Brahma Samhita 5.16. Ahankaratmakam Vishvam Tasmad Etad Vyajayata. The function of Sambhu in relation to Jivas is that this universe, enshrining the mundane egotistic principle, has originated from Sambhu. The basic principle is the Supreme Lord Himself, who is the embodiment of the principle of existence of all entities, devoid of separating egotism. In this mundane world, the appearance of individual entities as separated egotistic symbols is the limited, perverted reflection of the unalloyed spiritual Chit potency, and as representing the primal masculine divine generative function Sambhu, it is united to the accommodating principle, viz., the mundane female organ, which is the perverted reflection of the spiritual Chit potency Rama Devi. At this function, Sambhu is nothing but the mere material causal principle embodying the extension in the shape of ingredient as matter. Again, when in cause of the progressive evolution of mundane creation, each universe is manifested, then in the principle of Sambhu, born of the space between the two eyebrows of Vishnu, there appears the manifestation of the personality of Rudra. Yet under all circumstances, Sambhu fully enshrines the mundane egotistic principle. The innumerable jivas as spiritual particles emanating from the oversoul in the form of pencils, of rays of effulgence, have no relation with the mundane world. When they come to know themselves to be the eternal servants of the Supreme Lord, they are then incorporated into the realm of Vaikuntha. But when they desire to lord it over Maya, forgetting their real identity, the egotistic principle Sambhu entering into their entities makes them identify themselves as separated enjoyers of mundane entities. Hence, Sambhu is the primary principle of the egotistic mundane universe and of perverted egotism in jivas that identifies itself with their limited material bodies. Atha taistri vidhais vesair Lilam advahata kila yoga nidra bhagavati tasya srir iva sangata. Thereupon the same great personal Godhead, assuming the threefold forms of Vishnu, Prajapati and Sambhu, entering into the mundane universe, plays the pastimes of preservation, creation and destruction of this world. This pastime is contained in the mundane world, hence it being perverted, the Supreme Lord, identical with Mahavishnu, prefers to consort with the goddess Yoga Nidra, the constituent of his own spiritual Chit potency, full of the ecstatic trance of eternal bliss appertaining to his own divine personality. The dislocated portions of the divinity, viz. Prajapati and Sambhu, both identifying themselves as entities who are separate from the divine essence, sport with their respective non-spiritual Achit consorts, viz. Savitri Devi and Uma Devi, the perverted reflections of the spiritual Chit potency. The Supreme Lord Vishnu is the only Lord of the spiritual Chit potency, Ram or Lakshmi. Sisrikshayam tato nabhes tasya padmam viniryayu tan nalam hema nalinam brahmano lokam adbhutam. When Vishnu, lying in the ocean of milk, wills to create this universe, a golden lotus springs from his navel pit. The golden lotus with its stem is the abode of Brahma, representing Brahmaloka or Satyaloka. Gold here means the dim reflection of pure cognition. Tatvani purva rudhani karanani parasparam samavaya prayogat cha vibhinnani prithak prithak chik chaktya sajhamanotha bhagwan adi purusa yojayan mayaya devo yoga nidram akalpayat. Before their conglomeration, the primary elements in their nascent state remained originally separate entities. Non-application of the conglomerating process is the cause of their separate existence. Divine Mahavishnu, primal Godhead, through association with his own spiritual Chit potency, moved Maya, and by the application of the conglomerating principle created those different entities in their state of cooperation, and after that he himself consorted with Yognidra by way of his eternal dalliance with his spiritual Chit potency. Maya dakshanena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. Bhagavad Gita 9.10. The mundane energy Prakriti gives birth to this universe of animate and inanimate beings by my direction. The purport of this sloka of the Gita is that Maya, the perverted reflection of spiritual Chit potency, was at first inactive, and her extension of Metta constituting the material cause was also in the separately dislocated state. In accordance with the will of Krishna, this world is manifested as the resultant of the union of the efficient and the material causal principles of Maya. In spite of that, the Supreme Lord himself remains united with his Chit potency Yoga Nidra. The word Yoga Nidra or Yoga Maya indicates as follows: the nature of Chit potency is manifestive of the absolute truth, while the nature of her perverted reflection, Maya, is an envelopment in the gloom of ignorance. When Krishna desires to manifest something in the mundane ignorance wrapped affairs, he does this by the conjunction of his spiritual potency with his inactive non-spiritual potency. This is known as Yoga Maya. It carries a twofold notion, namely transcendental notion and mundane innate notion. Krishna himself, his subjective portions, and those jivas who are his unalloyed separated particles realize the transcendental notion in that conjunction, while conditioned souls feel the mundane innate notion. The external coating of transcendental knowledge in the conscious activities of conditioned souls bears the name of Yoga Nidra. This is also an influence of the Chit potency of the divinity. This principle will be more elaborately considered hereafter. Yojayitva tu tani eva pravisesa swayam guham praviste tasmims tu jivatma pratibhudyate. By conglomerating all those separate entities, he manifested the innumerable mundane universes and himself entered into the inmost recess of every extended conglomerate Virat Vigraha. At that time, those jivas who had lain dormant during the cataclysm were awakened. The word guha, hidden cavity, bears various interpretations in the Shastras. In some portions, the non-manifestive pastimes of the Lord is called guha, and elsewhere, the resting place of the indwelling spirit of all individual souls is named guha. In many places, the most recesses of the heart of each individual is termed guha. The main point is that the place which is hidden from the view of men in general is designated guha. Those jivas that were merged in Hari at the end of the life of Brahma in the great cataclysm during the preceding great age of the universe reappeared in this world in accordance with their former fruitive desires. Sa nityo nitya sambandha prakritischa paraivasa. The same jiva is eternal and is for eternity and without a beginning joined to the Supreme Lord by the tie of an eternal kinship. He is transcendental spiritual potency, just as the sun is eternally associated with his rays, so the transcendental Supreme Lord is eternally joined with the Jivas. The Jivas are the infinitesimal particles of his spiritual effulgence and are therefore not perishable like mundane things. Jivas, being particles of Godhead's effulgent rays, exhibit on a minute scale the qualities of the divinity. Hence, Jivas are identical with the principles of knowledge, knower, egoism, enjoyer, meditator, and doer. Krishna is the all-pervading, all-extending Supreme Lord, while Jivas have a different nature from his. Being his atomic particles, that eternal relationship consists in this, that the Supreme Lord is the eternal Master and Jivas are his eternal servants. Jivas have also sufficient eligibility in respect of the mellow quality of the divinity. Aparayam itastu annayam prakritim vidhi me param. Bhagavad Gita 7.5. By this verse of the Gita, it is made known that Jivas are his transcendental potency. All the qualities of the unalloyed soul are above the eightfold qualities such as egotism, pertaining to his Achit potency. Hence the Jiva potency, though very small in magnitude, is still superior to Achit potency or Maya. This potency has another name, viz. Tathast or marginal potency. Being located on the line demarcating the spheres of the spiritual and mundane potencies, he is susceptible to the influence of the material energy owing to his small magnitude, but so long as he remains submissive to Krishna, the Lord of Maya, he is not liable to the influence of Maya. The worldly afflictions, births and rebirths are the concomitants of the fated condition of souls fallen into the clutches of the deluding potency from a time that has no beginning. Evam sarvatma sambandham nabhyam padmam harer abhut tatra brahma bhavat bhuyas chaturvedi chaturmukha. The divine lotus which springs from the navel pit of Vishnu is in every way related by the spiritual tie with all souls and is the origin of four-faced Brahma versed in the four Vedas. The same divine lotus originating from the divine person entered into the hidden recess is the superior plane of aggregation of all individual souls. The four-faced Brahma, the image of self-enjoyment, derives his origin from the prototype Brahma or Hiranyagarbha, the mundane seminal principle, who regards the aggregate of all mundane entities as his own proper body. The delegated godship of Brahma as well as his being the dislocated portion of Krishna are also established. Sanjato bhagavat chaktya tatkalam kila kodika ditha sisrikshayam matim chakre purva samskar samskrita dadarsha kevalam dvantam nanyat kim api sarvataha. On coming out of the lotus, Brahma, being guided by the divine potency, tuned his mind to the act of creation under the impulse of previous impressions. But he could see nothing but darkness in every direction. Brahma's impulse for creation arises solely from his previous impressions. All jivas get their nature conformably to their impressions of previous births, and accordingly their activity can have a beginning. It is called the unseen or the result of one's previous deeds. His natural impulse is formed according to the nature of the deeds done by him in the previous kalpa. But some of the eligible jivas also attain to the office of Brahma in this way. Hare Krishna.